Let me extend a warm welcome to all the guests of the Freedom Awards Gala. Ladies and gentlemen, we are born toward freedom. The only limitation of our right to be free is freedom and happiness of others, of our neighbors. Poland has become a free country thanks to the peaceful revolution of solidarity. Wrocław is a city with a young identity. This identity was only formed in the 80s and 90s of the 20th century. It was formed during Solidarity's peaceful struggle for freedom and during the first decade of free Poland. In Wrocław, we do understand that freedom is not granted, but given as a task. To remain free and to build freedom, we need people who demonstrate how to preserve dignity, how to remain human. Today, we have such people in this room. To them, we want to show our gratitude for keeping watch, for showing the way. Władimir Filat, Radosław Sikorski, John McCain, Aleś Bialiacki and Żanna Litwina, Ezra Abdel Fattah, Helena Łuczywo, and Adam Michnik. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give applause for the honorees of the Freedom Awards. I would like to extend the special welcome to Mrs. Barbara Wilkinson, the wife of the late Ronald Dietrich Asmus. And now I would like the honorary co-chair of this evening, His Excellency, Mr. Lee Feinstein, Ambassador of the United States of America, to take the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President. It's a great privilege and a genuine pleasure to be back in Wrocław, and a great honor as well to be joined by so many committed defenders of freedom. Prime Minister Filat, Foreign Minister Sikorski, and Senator McCain, three men who need no introduction. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Minister, Senator, thank you so much for honoring us with your presence here tonight. I'd like to recognize and congratulate Fred Kemp, Fran Burwell, and the entire Atlantic Council team. It takes tremendous patience and talent and persistence to organize a major event, no less from across the ocean. And as always, you've done a magnificent job. Congratulations. It's hard to believe it's a full academic year since we last gathered here for the first Wrocław Global Forum and the Atlantic Council's Freedom Awards, and it's been quite a year. Mayor Dudkiewicz won re-election by a landslide, a tribute to his laudable stewardship of this impressive city. Thank you, Mr. President, for everything you've done, and congratulations. President Obama just concluded an enormously successful visit to Poland, and as President Komorowski said, and the President was here in Wrocław today, the visit opened a new chapter in Polish-U.S. relations and laid the foundation for productive cooperation for years to come. The President's trip underscored the importance of the close partnership between the United States and Europe, and the essential roles of the countries of Central Europe and Poland in particular. It's been a year of hope. 9 months ago, few would have predicted that a small group of committed young activists in North Africa and the Middle East would use the internet to launch the next wave of democratic revolutions. And we are very honored to have one of them, Isra Abdel Fattah, with us tonight. Alas, also, it's been a year of disappointment. Even as we have celebrated the progress of the Arab Spring, we have witnessed the brutality of Lukashenko, of the Belarusian people. It may be small comfort, but it is nonetheless significant that the United States and the European Union speak with one voice in condemning the cruelty of Europe's last dictatorship and in showing solidarity with the Belarusian opposition leaders and civil society. And it is fitting that tonight we also honor Belarusian activists who bravely confront forces of oppression and corruption in Belarus. And tonight we also honor a dear friend and visionary, someone who worked tirelessly to bring the transatlantic community closer together. Ron Asmus was an early and ardent advocate for NATO enlargement. Ron understood that the project of building a Europe whole and free would not be possible without an alliance of democracies, an alliance committed to one another's security and committed to one another's ideals. Most of all, Ron was a champion of solidarity between Poland and the United States. We're very honored that Barbara is with us here today to receive a Freedom Award for Ron. Barbara, thank you for coming. And we're honored tonight by the presence of Adam Michnik and Helena Łuczywo, two courageous intellectuals who used the power of words to help rewrite the course of history. Over the course of 4 decades, they worked tirelessly to build coalitions to advance the cause of freedom. Adam was the co-founder of CORE, set up to support workers who had lost their jobs after participating in illegal strikes in the 1970s. And Helena helped to establish an underground newspaper which strengthened ties between intellectuals and the working class. The alliance of workers, intellectuals, and the clergy that they helped to build was the foundation for Solidarność, a movement they actively supported, including after the roundtable talks when they founded Poland's only uncensored newspaper, Gazeta Wyborcza. The men and women we honor here tonight have a great deal in common. They have all made tremendous sacrifice to advance human rights and democracy, universal values and principles that bind the transatlantic community together. It's my great pleasure to serve as co-host for this evening's Atlantic Council Freedom Awards as we pay tribute and express our deep gratitude to tonight's honorees for their courage, for their vision, and for their steadfast commitment to the cause of freedom. Gratuluję wszystkim. Bardzo dziękuję.
Hello, I'm Fred Kemp, President and CEO of the Atlantic Council. Please do start eating. There are so many award, please. The reason they put me in this program is you have someone to eat over. We have so many people to honor tonight, and I know this is unusual according to the protocol here in Poland, but you really do have to eat, and we really do have to serve over this. I would only really ask you, as the more important moments of the evening pass, please be very, very silent with your utensils and with your dinner conversation. There will be a break at the half point of this evening where you can talk and engage with your table partners. And then afterward, when we break at the end of the evening and all the awardees come up to the stage to gain your applause, you'll be able to go outside to the terrace guided by our staff to see an incredible fountain show. And again, you'll be able to engage with people there. Mayor Dutkiewicz has just given us the theme for the evening. He said, freedom is not given, it's granted as a task. Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, Syria, Bahrain, Yemen, the biggest geopolitical set of events since 1989. That is our context for tonight. We started these awards 3 years ago because we wanted again to make democracy, promotion, and freedom a centrist bipartisan pursuit in the United States, and again a transatlantic pursuit where the US and Europe would work together on these issues. Now we actually have a whole new area of relevance because of an entire region that's in ferment and it has ripples throughout the world. We are not nostalgically looking back to recognize democracy heroes of the past, though we will also do that. More importantly, we are boldly looking forward. How do we apply the lessons of the past to today's Mideast upheavals so that the Arab awakening, the Arab Spring, does not become a winter of discontent, and that it gains the solidarity and the support it is owed? What do the Gdansk shipyards have to do with Tahrir Square? What does Lech Wałęsa have to do with the fruit vendor in Tunisia, with the young activists in Egypt? Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure on behalf of the Atlantic Council to welcome you to these third annual Freedom Awards. This is the second year that we host them in Wrocław in conjunction with the annual Wrocław Global Forum. And we're delighted to collaborate again with the city of Wrocław and in particular with Mayor Rafał Dutkiewicz. Mayor, thank you so much to you and your team for helping us make this event and forum a success. If you ever want to run an election campaign in the United States, we're with you. U.S. ambassadors can also skate through an assignment or look for ways to make a difference. And I want to thank the U.S. Embassy in Poland and Ambassador Lee Feinstein because he's a person who looks for ways to make a difference. And thank you for your co-chairmanship of this dinner. I would also like to thank the Polish Foreign Ministry and the Foreign Minister, and we'll get back to him in a moment, as well as our think tank partners in Poland, the Polish Institute for International Affairs, the Center for International Relations, and the Institute for Public Affairs. I particularly want to thank my friend, my dear friend, and our Atlantic Council board member in Poland, Maciej Watucki, for his vision and commitment, which has been instrumental for this Wrocław initiative. Thank you, Maciej. The Arab awakening has vindicated our belief in the universality of democratic values, that people around the world are yearning for the same freedoms that we hold dear: responsive government, respect for human dignity, and rule of law. That said, Foreign Minister Sikorski, speaking at our Bronisław Geremek lecture in D.C. recently, where we are honoring a former friend, a longtime friend of mine, tragically died too early, who taught me more about democracy and freedom than anyone I know. But at this lecture, he warned us that the Arab street doesn't regard America as highly as did Poland's solidarity, perhaps limiting U.S. credibility. He spoke about the posters on the walls during the Solidarity era of Gary Cooper in the movie High Noon, The suggestion was that it was high noon for the Communist Party. The point was that the Mideast didn't have a Gary Cooper. Senator McCain, however, one of our awardees, also one of the Gremic lecturers, suggested that perhaps the new Gary Cooper was Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. The young of the Middle East are linked to their Western counterparts through the internet. Facebook and the access to a world of information holds more sway over the average Middle Eastern or Eastern teenager than does Al-Qaeda. This evening's honorees remind us of the Atlantic community's common responsibility to lend support and encouragement to those who yearn for freedom around the globe. The previous two speakers have listed the honorees tonight, so I will not repeat them and give my own reasons for why they are being honored. However, I will mention again Egyptian blogger Esra Abdel Fattah, who is accepting her award on behalf of Egypt's young generation. This brave young woman was among the first to use Facebook to mobilize social protests in Europe. But it isn't just the simplicity of Facebook. I think that Radek Sikorski really gave us some insight that it's about Al Jazeera, it's about Al Arabiya, it's about all the ways we're moving things today that governments are just catching up with. Radek, when he was asked, was this Tehran 1979 or was this Berlin 1989, he actually said very wisely that perhaps it was 1980. And he called this the beginning of a long march. I said at the opening reception that I used to say, and like to quote John F. Kennedy, Ich bin ein Berliner. And then I like to say, well, if you're saying Ich bin ein Berliner in the modern day, you have to say Jestem Polakiem, because that is what it means to be that is what it means to be in favor of freedom today, and I wear proudly an acknowledgement that this great country gave to me. But then Esra Abdel Fattah came up to me and said, no, at this dinner tonight, at this awards dinner tonight, you actually have to say Ana Masri, which means I am an Egyptian. And of course, we hope to say at some point, I am a Belarusian. Tonight, we will honor the Belarus Free Theater, the Human Rights Center Vyazna, and the Belarusian Association of Journalists, who will receive their awards on behalf of the people of Belarus for bravely pushing the boundaries of freedom of expression imposed by Alexander Lukashenko's regime. It is our hope that these brave Belarusians and tens of thousands more like them will someday usher their country alongside Moldova and Egypt into the free world. The courage and conviction exemplified by our awardees tonight is truly inspiring, so let's get started.